listening to the Medic Materials Podcast, hosted by Mike Turek, Emily Yates, Kelsey Coons, and Gerard Cuomo. All are current EMS providers and educators with a combined 30 years experience. Each month, we discuss EMS news, medical science, and review actual EMS calls, bringing many educational opportunities to the listener. Portions of the calls have been altered to protect the privacy and identity of all involved.
You survived.
Hello and welcome. What?
I said he survived.
He did survive.
Vape cloud.
Worst voice ever. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, so I have to first welcome everyone back to the show. But Gerard, you missed last episode.
I did.
So now you're back, and because you're back, I get to play your theme song.
Finally!
Nice.
Gerard.
That's awesome.
You say it so like Gerard.
Well, that was the whole point. You go from this epic wind up to be like, Gerard.
Gerard. It was so like.
It was perfect. But yeah, so happy March. It's still fucking cold. And I think today's episode is going to be really intriguing, as this is going to be one of our discussion episodes. We're not going to be doing a call review today. And it's a discussion that I actually was personally messaged by one of our awesome, amazing listeners, Greg, who wanted us to discuss this specific topic. So I'm going to hand it to Kelsey for the rig check, and then I will get into it.
So guys, same announcement as last time. We have a new YouTube channel exclusively for the podcast. So there's going to be no further episodes uploaded onto the main channel. So going forward, to listen to the podcast through YouTube, you're going to have to utilize the second channel. Basically what you can do is you can search Medic Materials Podcast or use the link that's listed below. The podcast is easier to access once you can subscribe to the second channel. All the episodes will be listed in chronological order, super easy to find, and all of our stuff will still be on the old channel as well. So all the YouTube videos, all the shorts, everything like that is still going to be on the old channel. Today we're going to shout out our listeners in the UK and Missouri, and then we're also going to shout out our newest Patreon listener, Sal. And if you want
Hey, Sal.
Hey, Sal.
Welcome.
I like that name.
It is a really cool name.
And if you
It's
want,
so simple.
if you want
I
to
think
hear,
it might be Italian.
She's really trying to get to Sal.
I have one sentence left. If you, yes, Gerard. You're stupid.
He's holding it in.
I'm just here.
That is my least favorite statement in the entire world.
Oh, yeah. I have totally fucked that statement, because she'll sit there and be like, I need to make a decision. Yes, you do. Looks at me. What should I do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just here. And then she's like, no!
And then I look at the EMT, and he also looks at me and goes, well, it's you too.
Today, I just want to say, today, she had to make a decision, and she stomped her feet.
It was bad.
Just want to say, it was fun.
It was bad. Anyways, if you want to hear our coldest, funniest episode yet, make sure you join Patreon, and then you'll be able to get a third podcast episode every single month.
They're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
They are literally the most amazing calls and craziest calls, because all we do is call reviews on Patreon, and they are downright just bonkers.
Bonkers.
There's wet bandages flying. There's
Vaginal
Really
blenders.
bad
Oh yeah, there's oil trucks.
all kinds
Oh
of
yeah,
stuff.
there's just
Oil
ridiculousness.
trucks, vaginal blenders, and
I
wet
mean-
bandages. Oh my.
Yeah, that's a terrible porn movie right there. Just could you imagine?
That's why we do a podcast and not porn.
So,
That's why. Yeah.
That's why.
because all the faces for radio sitting around this table. But yeah, so we're gonna transition from the lighthearted subject to the more
No, just keep going.
what?
No, just keep going.
I was. You interrupted me.
I know. That was my bad. Keep going.
Okay, so we're going to go from the more lighthearted to the more serious topic today. And when Greg messaged me, he was looking for information specific to our ideas and techniques and experiences speaking to family about notifications of death.
Oof.
So you go to a call, you do a cardiac arrest, the loved one or the family member doesn't, survive the cardiac arrest. And now it's up to you to now go break the news to the family. And we have touched base on this subject many times. And I literally couldn't pinpoint, go listen to this episode, because we talk about it for 10 minutes over the course of 6 episodes. And I couldn't remember which ones it was. So I told him that I would just make one episode that's dedicated to this thought process. So, it's one of those things that this is probably one of the hardest humane things that we do as EMTs and paramedics, that there's no training on, and that we have absolutely no idea how to do it. We're not prepared to do it, and we kind of just wing it and hope for the best. Or on the other side of that coin, we just don't do it at all, and we walk away. And I want to hear your guys, kind of thoughts. Just initially, I want to find, where is your headspace when you're not your techniques or what you say, just what is your headspace going into this conversation?
Dread.
You have 2 minutes, right? You have 2 minutes walking to the family. What are you preparing inside your own body to be able to actually do this conversation in the first place? So,
for me, and in my experience, usually when it's a cardiac arrest that, the family is called, they see what has happened, and they watch pretty much, what everyone does, trying to resuscitate, and they kind of see, how things are winding down. They see the
process.
Right. They start seeing things winding down. Usually I'll even go out and let them know, look, we've been trying everything. I think we're, at this point, we're going to have to terminate. And I'm going to call a doctor and make sure he, gets all the information, and then let him make the decision. And then I go and make the phone call. And so they kind of have an idea of what's coming. And then once, the doctor says, go ahead and secure, gives me a time, and I tell everyone to go ahead, let's knock it off. And then I'll go to them. It's easier because they've kind of been building to that point, and they already know what's coming.
Right.
It's not an MVA where someone's asking you how their loved one is doing that was in the passenger seat, and you're like,
they did.
Yeah, you're not having dinner tomorrow. Sorry. Right.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, and you can kind of talk to this, it almost prepares you in a sense too of the whole process that's coming too, because you're going through the motions of transitioning from patient care to now more psychological care.
Yeah, almost social worker kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're turning into a social worker.
Yeah. And it's I won't do I won't call to secure if there's an % chance that there's something else we could do. If I'll only call when I know this is completely pointless. We have done everything we can possibly do, and there's no doubt in my mind. If there's doubt, we keep going.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Em? You look at it from a different perspective, being the EMT on scene. How often do you kind of do this preparation to deliver the bad news? I'm sure you deliver it more in the hospital with the docs than you do on scene.
I actually do
paramedics.
It more pre-hospitally, and the only reason for that is because I feel like, when you say they're seeing it and they're building it and they're seeing that things are winding down, their anxiety is going up for that, because they're realizing that this might be the end, but they're still holding on to that hope that they're going to come back, they're going to wake up, like they do on Grey's Anatomy. I feel like that's a very hard pill to swallow. And I feel like, in my experience, no offense to my paragods, it's not explained that well.
I agree.
Because it's not something that we're taught in EMT class or nursing school or paramedic school. That's not something that you go over. So you really just have to step back. And when I'm going to talk to the family, or if I'm going to go, a lot of times if there's a lot of people there, I'll actually just remove myself from patient care aspect, and I just go sit with the family. Yep. And I can explain everything that we're doing, why we're doing it, and kind of really prepare them for the ultimate end because I feel, if they're just watching it, they have no idea what we're doing. We're just assaulting their loved one and they're dead, and we're not going to fix that.
Right.
It's a really hard pill to swallow. So I'll just go over and explain it. And like on my way over to talk to them, I just think like, if that was my mother, how would I feel? Or if that was my father or my brother, whoever, how would I feel? And like, I take myself out of the EMT and just be the human.
Yeah.
And like, this is now my family member.
Right.
And I'll ask them like, what were you guys, like, what's your favorite memory? If it's near the holidays, like just relate it so that they think of you as a human and not just as this person that broke into their house and didn't save their family member.
Yeah.
And you, Kelsey, you're coming in as a junior for so many years and now transitioning into, you're going to have to deliver this bad news soon. How has that transition been in your headspace getting ready for doing this?
I mean, I think as a junior, because I never really knew like this is what I wanted to do, that I was almost too young and too dumb to pay attention enough to care, which sounds awful because like it is somebody who passed away, but at the same time, like I never was really there when they told the family. I remember the first time that a paramedic handed me the clipboard and was like, go get the billing form signed. I was like, no, that is not my job.
Yeah.
And I was
Fuck
like,
that.
I was like, I know. I was like, you're in charge here. It is not me. And I think like, I was a junior at the time. I wasn't even in EMT class, and like, you're already gonna shirk that responsibility onto me. And like, I can talk to anybody. I'm pretty good at talking to everybody, but like, that's your job. And it sucks because, maybe your EMT is better at it, but you can't shirk it onto somebody just because like, oh, well,
You're
I don't
uncomfortable.
like doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But at the same time, use your resources. Like, my regular partner knows damn well that I'm going to be the one to do that because I'm better at it. And like, there's certain things that, you know what I mean?
But
like,
I think there's
but
a
at the
difference
same
between
point-
choosing who's going to be the best at it and being afraid
Pawning
of
it off.
pawning it off
Well,
on
I
somebody
agree
else.
with that.
Well, I was going to say, and in that situation, if she's already talking with the family and comforting them and stuff, and I'll come over and put myself at their disposal to answer whatever questions, and she'll help them, you know,
Right.
if they have any questions that need answering, she can say, hey, this is the paramedic, this is the lead paramedic, what would would you like to know?
Right.
I find that like the worst ones I feel like for us to do are the ones where we don't do anything. Like the ones
Yeah.
where they are
Gone.
dead on arrival,
Yeah.
but it's not to the point where like the family can tell. Like we
Yeah.
can tell that there's rigor, we can tell there's lividity setting in, but I just saw them 2 days ago, and in their mind, they call 911 and we show up and we save the day.
Right.
And like
Oh, that's what they see on TV.
that's what
Right.
they see on
And
TV.
now you do nothing but
and
pack
I
up
come
and
in
leave.
there
Yeah.
and we stand there and we do absolutely nothing. We don't talk to the family. We stand there with our hands in our pockets, and then 10 minutes later, we're like, oh yeah, by the way.
Right.
I mean, for the most part, and this has just been my experience. Maybe I just keep lucking out, but yeah, there's always those that are holding out hope, but they all seem to always kind of just accept the reality of it. And yeah, there's emotions and stuff involved, but I think I'm trying to think of a time where I've gone over and people have just completely lost it and don't want to accept what I have to say.
I've
or any
had
of that.
one.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there might have been one or two here and there, but they're the exceptions to the rule. For the most part, I go over, I sit, with the family, and I explain to them, what has happened and everything. And they're like, yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're
I
they're
feel
just
like that.
grateful for what we did, and they usually thank me and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
I feel like that's the case for like the older generation, and like
Yeah.
it's kind of an expected
Yeah.
death. Not that they're sick or they're
Right, I mean,
like
now that
decrepit
you
or
mentioned, I'm
anything.
remembering the gangbanger that.
But like think
went
about
down
the
and-
young
Yeah.
people, even think about your overdoses, and like yes, they know that their loved one is a drug addict, and every
it's
single
still-
day they wake up and think that they're not alive.
Right.
But at the same time, like especially in today's age, well, we have Narcan, so you're just gonna fix everything.
And
with
that's,
that.
I would say I would put that into the
Or-
category of like the MVA, where it's not an expected
Right.
death. It's not where they
Right.
Even,
Right.
we're expecting this to happen.
the 60-year-old with a crappy heart. Well, people live till they're 80, 100 nowadays.
Right.
Or,
And-
my mom has finally been trying to get better about going to the doctor. She was doing better, and now
Right.
she's not here.
Right. And I look at it with kind of a combination of everybody at the table, in that I learned very early on in my EMT career from one of the best paramedics that I have ever seen be a human. and do this. So I had someone that, every time we did a cardiac arrest, it was magic. Like I was the clipboard holder because I chose to be, because I sat back and I watched this paramedic who was my partner for 5 years on the same day. So how many cardiac arrests did him and I do? And that experience was unbelievable in that now you go in and you're more prepared to treat these people as regular human beings. Like, I agree wholeheartedly. You have to take yourself out of medical mode and put yourself into, I'm just Mike, Emily, Gerard, Kelsey. I'm just another human being. And listen, I'm going to talk to you as if I'm your next door neighbor, your best friend, whatever you feel is comfortable in that situation. And I think that helps you out. But I also think that a lot of providers hide behind the medicine because they don't want...
Because that's where they're comfortable.
Because that's where they're comfortable. It's like the doctor coming in and being like, yep, this, that, the other thing, talk a bunch of medical jargon, and leave the family going, what the fuck just happened? I have no idea what that doctor just said. And I don't play that game.
And it's so interesting that you say that, because doctors and like providers in the hospital have the most training on this, because they take a class to learn how to tell people this.
Right.
And they walk in and they hide behind medicine and they leave because it's uncomfortable.
Right. It is, this is something that no matter how much we do is going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You are never going to wake up one day and be like, you know what? I am good at this. Like,
right.
And I can do it no matter what.
I can't wait to do it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to do it. Like, this is going to be emotionally draining for anyone who does it. And that's expected. Like, we are not, in today's day and age, you do not see people dying left and right of fever, of toe pain, of gangrene, of accidents like they were 300 years ago, 400 years ago, whatever, where death was acceptable from
your life
day one.
Was like 36.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. From day one all the way until old age, because you could have 12 children and 3 of them make it to adulthood. Right. You knew that death was coming. So we don't see that. So death is this thing that is a mystery now. It's not acceptable. Right. You look at the Narcan deaths and you're like, well, we had Narcan. Why is a 30-year-old drug addict dead now? Or the one that I recall is I had a 12-year-old that was a skateboard accident that went into traumatic arrest. And then I had to break news to mom. And there are certain things that are always envisioned. They get burned into your memory. Yeah. And mom being told that news, leaning up against the wall and then screaming and sliding down the wall, I will never forget. Yeah. But that's
moms make a sound that
you don't ever forget.
That you never forget.
And that is,
even describe it.
That is the only time I've ever had that type of reaction. Yeah. In 15 years, never had it again. And thank God. Yeah. But it sticks with you. And you can use that experience. You should be building on every single one of these to get better at the next one.
And I think that's kind of what we've been touching on is it's that, that, like I said, that person who was in cardiac arrest and, it's been coming, or, he has heart problems, something like that. It's not as acute.
Right.
As
it's expected.
It's expected, exactly.
It's more easily accepted by them when we tell them, which makes it easier on us because we can see play off their body language. Hey, they're not going to freak out on me. They're not going to, scream or anything like that. And we can just keep this at a professional level, and, I can do what I can to comfort them, whatever I tell them, because me, I always tell them, what would you like me to do? Right. I'm at your disposal. I will cook your breakfast. I'll do whatever you want.
Right.
Just tell me what to do.
Yep.
And, do you want to have any questions, anything like that? That's my thing. But it's that completely unexpected. It's the, it's the 1-year-old that chewed on the fucking cigarette butts in the ashtray. And why is my baby dead?
Right.
Well, there's a thing called nicotine poisoning. Do you explain that to them, or, You know, those are the
because you
I mean, it's like
at that point,
I know what the problem was, but
right,
I can't sit there and say, hey, Mom, you know,
you fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, what the fuck do you say?
Because they already believe that they fucked up.
Right.
You don't need to reinforce that they fucked up.
Right.
Yeah. Or the MVA where, you know, the 16-year-old is underneath the Audi. And,
right. And it just happens.
You know, Mom runs to the scene from down the block.
Right. You know, so I think there are definitely, you know, techniques to be used that I think all of us utilize in our own form and fashion. And that's the thing with this. The biggest takeaway that I can say is that everybody will do this differently. No, you can't listen to this episode and be like, I am going to do Mike's way, Emily's way.
Blueprint.
There is no blueprint to this. Every family's different. Every situation's different. You know,
and that's what I was going to say. Like, you could go the same way every time. And, you know, when I first started doing this, because I was like Kelsey, like I was a teenager and they're like, oh, go tell the family that they're dead. Like, what?
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And like
and it's the worst thing you ever do because you don't know how to process any of that. And you're like,
But all I thought to myself is like, if I was in their situation, what would I want to hear? But not everybody wants to hear what I want to hear.
Right.
Exactly.
So everybody's going to react differently. So even if you think that you have the best way and you've never had a bad outcome, like if something happens tomorrow and this family does not take to what you're saying, let somebody else say it. Like, you know, everybody's different.
I agree with utilizing your resources too. You know, like, you know, we have status EMS all over, whether it be status EMT, status paramedicus. It's like you get on scene of a cardiac arrest and it's not just 2 people anymore. It's 6, it's 7, it's cops, it's firemen.
It's everybody.
You know, it's everybody. So, you know, when you're running that cardiac arrest, if you can have the EMT fireman that knows exactly what's going on, be like, hey, go over, take the family, second room, whatever, and explain everything that we are doing. I'll come in for updates. I'll introduce myself, whatever. Have them almost as the counselor.
Yeah.
Don't have them involved. Have them as the family counselor.
I have almost never been more thankful for volunteer firemen than cardiac arrest because most of the time, all of the time, that's their community, and I can promise you there is a good chance that they know that person, that person's brother, that person's somebody. And whether you know them or not, having that link, and maybe, you know, they don't want to be the one to break the ice, no. But they're somebody, they're
a familiar
somebody's friend.
face.
They're a
It's a familiar face.
And, you know, me and Emily get that because we grew up where we work. But
that's also one of the reasons
so
that I love that
helpful.
so much. Like, I love to be the familiar face so that the worst day of your life, you look and you're like, okay, Kelsey's here. Like, if this is the worst day of my life, I know that I had a friendly face there. The
and
one that I know.
I can trust that, you know, what she's saying is true, that they really did everything.
And the thing is, too, is like, don't be quick to be like, all right, take them in another room and explain it. Like, let them see it.
Yes.
Because you can tell somebody that the sky is purple. Doesn't mean they're going to believe you. Let them see what's happening and walk them through it. I'm not saying, you know, stand over the body and get in the way, but you can take them to the corner and explain it quietly, and that's not going to disrupt the scene.
Right.
So don't necessarily just pull them out and be like, go in the garage.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, case by case basis. You know, again, if they're freaking out, you can't keep them in the corner. You can console them in a separate room. You know, and one of the things that, again, I had the most amazing teacher in this is that he would always explain as the process was going, if we could, right? But as the phone call is being made or this, that, the other thing, you would see him go in, just like, you know, Gerard said, explain, listen, this is where we're going. You know, this is exactly what we've done. This is exactly what we're finding. And it's not in humongous medical jargon. It's,
don't talk over their head.
Listen, their heart is not beating. There's no electrical activity in the heart. It's not pumping blood to the body, right? Their brain is not getting perfused. Right now, they are dead. You know, and in blatant terms, people can understand. You know, if you're sitting there and you're saying, "Oh, well, they've passed or they've this," that can be hairy. It's vague. Yeah. It's, well, what do you mean they've passed? You know, well,
they passed what?
They passed what? They passed the kidney stone? Like what?
Right.
Did you catch it? Like what'd you do? You know, it is vague and people laugh, but it's true. Like they want to hold on to any bit of hope. And yeah, you kind of have to be the hope crusher.
I was going to say, to be blunt, you have to kill the hope.
You have to kill the hope and explain to them that the process has been done, and this is the outcome. And, I will go in and I make contact before I even, like, halfway through the thing, I'll sit there and be like, all right, Gerard, this is where we are in the arrest algorithm. You are going to take over until I come back. And then I leave. As the primary, I will leave because I've left equal or higher in my spot. And I will leave and I will introduce myself. Hey, my name is Mike Turek. I'm paramedic with so-and-so, rescue squad. We've been in there working on, what's their name? Like, if I don't know it, blah, blah, whatever. What are all your guys' names? Introduce me to there could be 12 people.
Right.
I want to know everybody's name, who they are. Like, okay, is everybody prepared for having a conversation? If not, let's remove them and have a conversation. Listen, we found them like this. You guys called us. We got here. This was their heart. Their heart was beating, but not effectively. We did a shock. We might have given medications to help, the heart beat a little bit. We put a plastic tube down their throats to help them breathe, put air right into their lungs. Easy, understandable things that show that you're doing something, and say to them, I usually say to them at this point, listen, if anybody wants to come in, it's going to be scary, but I will walk you in and answer any questions. And maybe one person comes in, but you know what? That's okay. I go in and it's almost like the social worker because that's where you need to be, right? And if they're like, no, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to check on the progress, see if we've made anything different, and I will come back in a few minutes. Cool. Come in. Gerard tells me everything that he's done. 3 epis later. Awesome. Fabulous. Where are we? Okay, it's getting to the point where now we're going to cut. Sure. I'm going to go make a phone call. But I go back and I'm telling them, listen, we've gotten to the end of the rope. It's been 35 minutes. I don't see any, positive outcome here. I'm going to call a doctor, talk to them, see what they want us to do. But letting you know, this is probably the end of us doing anything here.
Right.
Okay, cool. They're prepared as best they can be.
Yeah.
Come back. Go. And again, now you're, okay, guys, done. Leave everyone else to pack up. You are the social worker to that family. And that's the process to go through.
Your job shifts, though. Like, you are the primary caregiver then, and now you are primarily for the family.
Right. You now went from one patient to
12.
1 or 7 or 12 or however many people there are, and your scene might change because 2 people could be distraught, and then the drunk uncle comes in and fucking flips out.
Right.
Well, and this is that's where I was going to go next was, the body language.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot of what the people you're dealing with are going to be like. You can, just like when you can tell, when the crackhead's going to get froggy and jump, you kind of, over the time, you build up that, just that spider sense, like, hey, I can read these people. Okay, this one's going to be able to handle it. This one's holding it together. That one's a fucking crackpot.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's being blunt.
Mm-hmm.
And, it may make me make a different decision on who to talk to. Maybe, hey, can we talk over here and I'll explain things to you. I'll find the person who's sane.
Yes.
And leave the crackpot off in the corner.
Yep.
And until later. But in those situations, it's like I said, for me, it's a little easier because, we're there, we're working, they've, been there, they see what everything from beginning to end. I think the hard one is when you have to, and the best way I could say to do it is when it's just that acute, that unplanned death. And the best way for me, and this is just my own personal thing, is rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
You
like you said, you have to tear the hope that something is miraculous miracles going to whip down and, oh my God.
especially when there's no resuscitative effort.
Right.
When you get there and, like I said, she's under the car.
Yeah.
And, here comes mom. And we've done all we can. There's nothing we can do here.
Right.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yep.
That's it. And then I try to remove myself if I can, because the hysteria that's coming.
Yep.
I know it sounds sexist, but I usually hopefully have a female partner or a female provider on scene. I apologize if that is misogynistic.
I mean,
Warm and
you're
fuzzy thing.
you're just setting yourself up because EMS is male dominated. So
So you say, and so a lot of people say, but I can tell you right now, I have had way more female partners than I've had male partners in my career. It's just, I don't know if it's just the way things went down, but everyone's like, oh, it's just male dominated thing. I'm like,
they're just chasing
holy
you.
crap.
Don't tell Tammy.
Hey,
How did Tammy happen?
when you're in
That's
demand,
true. That is
just
true.
chasing them.
Yeah, there's so much of me to love. But no, I know it sounds, whatever, outdated or, not with the times, but I found that, me being the one that breaks it and let's,
You also look scary.
Hey, this is
it might not be the female thing. It could just be that.
It could just be that,
Yeah, but how the hell do I do it with my eyebrows?
But this is my
Great
point.
question.
Is
Like,
Pull the
right?
hat down.
it's my job to deliver that. But in those situations where it's, an MVA death or it's an overdose or something like that, and it's, it's a youngster or it's a young adult, and you have parents involved or you have a wife involved or you have something along those lines there, and this was not something that was expected. This is just out of the blue. I will make the notification as blunt as I possibly can, being respectful and being as nice as I can be. And then I usually I'll try to find some way of getting a female provider over to have more discussion with them, let them grieve because they're going to freak out. And I'm not going to get in the way of that. And somewhere along the way, I kind of slip out and slip the female in. And
Kelsey, what I'm getting at is that in the middle of March, we're doing all the notifications.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Seriously.
Anybody that listens to this can be like, oh, good, Kelsey. There you go.
no, and like I said, I do the notification. I still.
But that brings up
say
a great
it,
point,
but-
though, because when you're giving the notification for like that acute death and that unexpected death, you're the bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's
like
almost
they
good to
don't
replace them.
necessarily want to talk to you anymore.
Right. And in my experience, like I said, and I know there's certain females like see you next Tuesday that you don't even want to. Like, no, don't talk to anybody. You go stand over there and shut the fuck up.
Don't even talk to
Right.
me.
Right.
Yeah, right?
But
Put yourself in the corner.
but I know like you guys, like stuff like that. If we're there and I can go down there and say, hey, mom is fucked up right now. Okay, I just told her, baby's not coming back.
Go hold her hand.
Do me a favor. Go be with her.
But
I'm gonna
we're
go take care
also
of
more
other
likely
things.
to like go over and give mom a hug
Right.
than you are. And that would
Right.
that might be uncomfortable for
As
her.
much as I want to, I
Right.
know that that's not the right thing for
Right.
me
It's
to do.
less.
Right.
Intimidating
It's
for
less
us to do
intimidating
it.
if I put my hand out to hold your hand
Right.
when I'm
It's just it's
5'2", tiny, tiny,
Right.
small girl.
Right. You're not intimidating. You have a caring demeanor. I try to be, but I know I'm a dude with a fucking beard.
Right. And it's
It's-
funny, one of the things that I remember watching my paramedic partner do was almost that female aspect of the caring nature, which he did so well. Like he would always, sit down with them and, he'd give me the clipboard. So now his hands are free and, I have literally seen him offer to kneel down and pray with the family. First time I ever seen that. But
Whatever they need.
Whatever they need. And he would sit there and, break the conversation and sit there and, have that consoling nature. Not big booming voice, nice soft tone, nice caring tone, and really ask a question and then just wait for an answer. You're not pushing anything.
Right.
You're not pressing the family for details. Fuck getting a signature. I don't care what administrator tells you, get a fucking
I'm sorry,
signature.
Oh, by the way, do you have their insurance card?
Right. fuck off.
Yeah, how impersonal is that?
Fuck off.
How impersonal?
I don't, like I said, I don't care what administrator is listening.
You got their phone number.
Fuck
You got
off.
their address. You can send them a fucking bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Send
No,
it.
thank you.
Send it a week later.
Better yet, write it off. This family just went through fucking
That's almost
hell.
worse.
Like, are you
I'm
kidding?
sorry, I couldn't save your loved one, but here, you mind paying this for me?
Right.
Right.
Like,
Pay me for failing at a job, because in your eyes, I failed at this job.
right. Now pay me.
And
Yeah.
especially if you
Like-
think about like what non-medical people, what do they see? We came in and we did not do what TV shows because
Right.
Yeah.
for the majority, that's all they know. They know your Grey's
Magic.
Anatomy is where
Yeah.
they're flatlined. They shock them and they're like, and they're magically
Right, now
alive.
they sit up and
Yeah.
I'd
And
be
walk
bad
out of
as-
there.
I'd be bad as
Kumbaya.
sits right up.
Right.
Yep.
Like in their minds, it is. You can explain it 7 ways to Sunday, and they're never fully going to understand
Right.
that. Yeah, we did everything we could. You just got to be there.
You really do. And, offering yourself to the family as
A
whatever
sacrifice?
No, I'm saying
Yes,
as
though,
whatever
you
you need.
should.
Like,
Right.
you sit down, you cry with the family. You
Yeah.
find, I don't necessarily. I'm in Gerard's camp that I think my angry eyebrows and even with my demeanor, I don't typically sit there and go, "Oh, hey, that picture has them on a cruise. What was that? Like, I don't do that
yeah, I know I do.
because that is very personal.
I do too.
And I think as females, you could get away with that. My wife could get away with
Right.
that. If someone did that
it's not
for
being
me,
sexist. It's being realistic.
It
I
is.
mean, a female presence is more calming.
correct.
To everybody, males, females, whatever. It's a guy. I can't make my voice high. I can't, not look the way I look.
Right.
And
and there
no
is
matter how much I
something.
want to be this, giant teddy bear to them, and I do, I do the same thing. Can I cook for you? Can I do things for you? Whoever has a fire pager needs to die right now.
I never turned my Green
Shut
County
up.
notifications off.
turn that.
Whacker.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
I'm
In
sorry.
the immortal words of Chris Rock, turn that shit off.
Oh, pro
That was
tip:
rule
turn
number
your
2.
pager off if you're giving a death notification.
Yeah, right, Justin.
Turn your pager off. Turn your radio off. What's outside of this house does not.
Oh.
This wherever you are does not matter right now. I don't care if the world is burning.
That's
It
true.
doesn't matter.
No, it's
Their world
exactly
is
right.
falling
The
apart.
last thing you want to be doing is saying, "I'm sorry, but your loved one fully involved structure." Oh shit, I gotta go.
But
Right.
even
Fuck.
even going on another call, like I understand that we're there because this person died doesn't mean that our job stopped. But right now,
Oh, it's over
this
right
is
now.
more important. They
Yeah.
will find another ambulance for the next call.
Yep.
I will take the write up every fucking time for dropping a call because I'm gonna sit on scene for 45 minutes for this grieving wife who's been married for 50 years and just lost her spouse.
But
That's
now,
why,
again-
that's why there's mutual aid.
But again, why is I'm going to attack administrators right now because why is administration sitting there writing you up for doing patient advocacy? You know what?
It's
Oh, well.
because it
scary
doesn't
and
pay
they
the
can't-
bills.
Because
It's
it's money.
because it
scary
doesn't
and
pay
they
the
I,
can't
bills.
do it
I
themselves.
understand that, but that's where we fail
Yes,
as
as an
an
industry.
EMS industry and EMS culture because we are fostering this fuck all of the humanity out of EMS. And you can't do that. You know what? Make them breakfast. Do what,
Yeah.
like Kelsey has seen me do this whole performance. I literally was like, "Yep, you're coming with me. Let's go."
I also was never more thankful for that because literally 3 days later, I worked a shift and the medic completely just bailed on telling the family. And I was like, oh, I'm up.
But that
It's
to me is the most heartbreaking thing. Like this family just witnessed us go in, try and save their loved one, didn't do it, and then just walk out
And
the
we're
door.
not- we're not even worth 5
a
seconds of
word.
your time.
And then
Exactly.
bailed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is so heartbreaking to me.
Like, everyone always remembers the bad waiter or the bad experience or whatever, and you are leaving them with, not only did you just leave them with a dead family member, but now you've left them with
A shitty experience.
fuck off.
So
Right.
So I'll
like,
give you.
we don't give a fuck about
Right.
you.
I will give you personal experience, and I will actually use a name because I think he deserves it.
Oh boy.
And
Do we know him?
Is it
Oh,
good
yeah.
or bad?
it's great. It's good.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Then
this-
I'm for it.
So, So if anyone's listened to the other, the podcast where we talked about, all of our personal stuff, then you'll know what got me into EMS was, the cardiac arrest I was on. My grandmother went into cardiac arrest on me, and
She saved it just for you.
Just for me, because that's the way she was. She wanted to teach me a lesson. One final lesson. You know, she knew I needed a kick in the ass to
get your life in gear.
Get my life in gear again.
That was it.
And now you're sitting at a table in a bunker with us.
Pretty much. Thanks
how
very much.
It's funny how life works out.
That is funny. Oh, by the way, yesterday was her birthday. So
happy birthday,
Graham.
Yep. So, yeah. So again, it was one of those things. You know, she's 99 years old. She, you know, went into cardiac arrest. We knew she had a bad valve. You know, this was all known, but it was still like
shocking.
We're not prepared, right?
I'm doing CPR on her. I'm freaking holding out every ounce of hope because, you know, really for me it was kind of like my second mother, and in some ways my first. But sorry, Mom. But you know, EMS shows up at the door, and they come in and they, of course, you know, pulled me off, told me to go stand over there, and they started doing their thing, you know, and that's where, of course, I was like, man, I don't like this feeling, and I kind of like what they're doing, and I want to do that, and that's why I started doing this. But one of their providers didn't get involved with any of the stuff that was going on once there were enough hands there. Initially, he was part of the process. Once the paramedic arrived and some other people arrived, he jumped up, and he got the clipboard. I hate to say it, but he came over to my mom, who was standing there watching all this go down, and she's a wreck. And he was so comforting, so sweet to her, and kind. And, you know, he would, looking back now, I could see he was asking questions that he was getting answers to that he needed. But
she didn't even realize.
But there's a way to do it.
It was magic, and it was a horrible situation, and he made her feel just a little bit better. And even after, you know, when they took her away, because they actually did get her back, go figure that one out. And so they transported, and, you know, he went through the whole thing. If you need us, you know, you call the station, ask for me. You know, we can keep you tell you what's going on in the ambulance on the way. Well, you know, all this good stuff. Get your things together, go over, you know, tell us all how to get into, you know, to the emergency room, go, you know, all this good stuff. And it was just this like thing, like, wow, you know, when I started doing this, I started realizing there were a lot of people that don't do shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why doesn't everyone do this? Because I remember when Wayne did that at my house. Big Wayne.
So I know Wayne.
I love him.
We all know Big Wayne.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he listens, but just for this table, I think Wayne has just earned himself a frothy, stone cold Steve Austin.
I believe so. A Broken Skull IPA.
I want to point out really quick, though, you remember, you know,
But yeah, that was...
both of you guys are talking about the fact that, you know, you'd pawn it off on a female, but you remember a guy doing it. So just because you're a male doesn't mean you're automatically at a disadvantage.
And I guess
you might have to work a little harder, but we all know those females who have the worst RBFs ever, and I wouldn't want them to tell somebody that they're rat that they didn't like that was chewing on their stove died.
Right. I mean, you know,
Right.
again, you know, I don't.
One comes to
I
mind.
don't say things always, you know, the way I'm thinking them, but I mean that's kind of I mean.
But again, okay. Put it in perspective, though. This is literally the groundwork that we're laying here. Is how many years ago did this happen?
7 now.
7, and you recall this like it was this morning.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a good experience.
That's what you want, though.
That is exactly what you want. That family to recall what you did 10 years from now for their brother, sister, grandma, whatever.
So when they call again, they know, you know, XYZ agency showed up.
Yeah.
It was, you know, Gerard last time. Maybe it's not him this time, but I know that my loved one was taken care of then. They're going to be taken care of now.
Right.
Because that family is going to tell all of their family, this is the experience that ex-rescue squad and ex-paramedic and EMT or whatever gave us. But they will tell 100 other people if you fucked up and just walked out.
Right.
And treated them like dog shit.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
To us, like, I mean, not that it's just another person, but eventually you do this for long enough and some of it does dull off. But to them, like, you are the person that quite literally just changed their world. Like, you are now it's a masked face, but you are the face that they're going to remember.
Well, hopefully not for much longer.
If you can't make eye contact with them, if you're towering over them, if you're going to be judgmental, if you can't level with them, that's all they're going to remember. It's not going to be the fact that my loved one just died. It's going to be that this jerk just came in and couldn't even spend 10 minutes with me on the worst day of my life.
Right. And,
because you are who altered their life forever.
Right. And you take that and you go one step further. And this is where, when I was figuring all this out, I was told, you have to think about that other person as another human. Well, that's really easy to say.
Right.
Right? And most people are judgmental. They go, oh, fuck, I'm going to another overdose. Fucking heroin overdose. Fucking guy deserved it. Why are we even here? Right? I've been to this house for the 67th time. Right? We do that because we're all jaded and judgmental. Right? But as a human, that just like your mom matters, your dad matters, your kids matter, your aunts matter, whoever matters in your circle,
they matter to someone.
That is someone's son, daughter, father, brother,
Even
grandma,
more than that,
grandpa.
They are someone.
Right. They are somebody.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what their circumstance is. Like, you have to go in and treat them just as someone. Like, you're not going to go in and be like, oh, yeah, they're a dirty pirate hooker, and treat somebody's daughter like a dirty pirate hooker. You're not going to do that. But yet we do all the time. And I feel like that is a failure on the entire industry. Because we're the ones that are we're so high and mighty because look at all the lives we save, right? We tout. We're the first ones to tout when we have a... Gerard, you're shaking your head, but how many of us
I'm like,
sit
I
there?
don't really save anybody. It just like,
realistically,
how
many you do?
How many fucking T-shirts are there? Oh, we save lives. Fuck off. No, we don't.
Right, I know what you mean.
Right? But we're the first ones to advertise how incredibly awesome we are at saving a life. But now you're letting a family go down the tubes.
Right.
Because again, they now are distraught, and now they distrust you.
And now it's going to make it, that much harder. You see it all the time, like people who let their problems get really, really bad before they go get checked out because I don't like the hospital because the last person who went to the hospital died.
And
Yes.
I think, honestly, as much of a disadvantage it is that we are in that person's home, we are where, they spent the past 60 years, they raised their kids with this person. You are at an advantage because you don't have the 4 white walls and all the beeping. This is where they are going to be the most comfortable to receive that news. But the minute you walk them into that hospital, it is medical all the way. So you have those people that want to RMA because I'm not going because the last time somebody went there, they died.
But that's
I'm not going to
industry
call
wide.
911 now because the last time I called 911, X,
They
Y,
took them
and
away,
Z died.
and they died.
But it doesn't matter, okay, so I work for my home agency and that happened. But that family only knows that they called an ambulance and that happened. They could live in fucking Florida.
Right.
They're still going to have that preconceived notion that all EMS sucks
Yep.
because of that one experience because you didn't take 10 minutes to talk to them.
Right. Yeah, and there's lots of times where there is that notion of what we do, right? EMS doesn't advertise well. Like, we let Hollywood and stories and big fishtails tell the story.
We don't have a national union.
Fuck with the union. So, but anywho, like, seriously, like, we don't advertise ourselves well enough that the general public even knows what our
we do.
capabilities
Right.
are. They see it in Hollywood. They see it in, like I said, crazy fishtails from, whackers with pagers. And that's what they see. And now you're coming in and they have an expectation of what we're going to do. You have to level with that expectation, and you have to meet that expectation.
Every single time.
Every single time. And if you just treat them as, oh, they're such a fucking pain, I wish they just go away and stop crying, you're the problem. It's not them. Remove yourself.
I think the hardest issue that people have is, like, in your mind, it's like anybody but me. And, some people are really great at it, and, is awful that they have to tell him, but you're like, I'd rather it be me than the jerk who I know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people
But that's how I started
the
that.
first thing in their mind is like, I am making the quickest exit to this door because I am so uncomfortable right now.
Right.
But
and like, I get it, you're uncomfortable. Suck it up, cry it out in the ambulance afterwards.
But that's why I started doing that. And that's why, like, as soon as resources get there, I will take myself out of the patient care aspect and go, because I don't want somebody else to fuck that up, because that speaks to us as an industry.
Right.
And I don't want to look at this and be like, oh, well, I only do it to, better EMS. No, fuck EMS. We've digged our grave. We are where we're at. That family deserves better. And I don't want some retard to fuck that up because they, want to get back to the station and eat their dinner.
or because it makes them uncomfortable and
Right.
they have to have feelings.
I
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's a human being, and everyone has their own self-preservation mechanisms in their head. So I mean, yeah, you got ones that you just know are just fucking cocksuckers to begin with.
But the thing is if you know that and you know your defense mechanisms, like, use your resources. Let somebody else do that.
And I think that's kind of where I was going with the things I was saying is like, if it's something, the mom just watched, the baby die, knowing me, I mean, I'm good. Yeah, I want to hug her and tell her it's going to be okay, and how shitty this is and how sorry I am. But I know she probably doesn't want to hear that from a dude like me.
Yeah.
She might want to hear it from her or from her.
Yeah.
And have that comforting, gentle, hand on their back, things like that. I'm a guy, I can't do that. And even if I could, I'm probably not the one that she wants it from, in those situations, like I said, yeah, it's knowing what your limitations are and what you have around you to work with.
And you know what?
And use it.
And I think I'm going to steal one directly out of your playbook, Emily.
Oh, boy.
Do better.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it comes down to. We all just have to choose to do better.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to be a good person. Like, that's really all it comes down to.
It actually takes effort to be a terrible person.
Seriously.
So save yourself the effort.
Right. It really does,
Yeah, I mean, at a, I hate to say, like, at your regular, average, everyday cardiac arrest, yeah, I mean, to me, it's natural to go to talk to the family and offer myself to them.
Well, that's
just
it.
Natural.
I would prefer to do what Emily does.
Yeah,
I
know
pushing
me,
an epi is a monkey skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helping a family out makes me feel like I'm doing something better.
And you know what? The thing that kills me is, like, you can sit there and, like, you can direct somebody set a timer on your phone, and every 3 minutes you're going to open that box and you're going to push that.
Yep.
And, like, yeah, does it violate protocol? Sure. The reason that I got into the role of going to talk to family is because I'd be like, oh, let me grab the epi. And they're like, you're a basic. You can't do that.
Okay.
It's
well, I'll
pretty
go be
simple to
useful.
I'll go do more than
twist a
so
thing
instead
into
of
a
sitting
thing
here,
and push.
right? So instead of sitting here with my thumb up my ass, let me go talk to the family. And that's how I started that. And then I see how people will talk to families, and I'm like, I would be so disgusted knowing everything that I know. If that was my family member, I would be fucking disgusted
and
with
you
this
were
industry.
just in the corner and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else that you guys want to leave?
Kids.
I think kids. What about kids?
Not dying kids, but
Kids,
if there's
kids?
a kid there.
Yeah, mommy just died.
Not even that. Kids is
Or,
in
yeah.
Grandma.
So-
Yeah, grandma just
16-year-old,
died.
even a 16-year-old,
Yeah.
even if it's mom, dad, and 2 kids. Because most of the time, the family's probably going to try and hide it from them, and you can only do so much.
Right.
But don't skirt around it just because they're a kid. Because I remember my uncle passed away. It was you can't. I wanted to see him. Like, I needed to see with my own 2 eyes. I'm stubborn. That's just how I was. And both my parents were like, no, it's okay. And I was like, no, I need to do it. And if that's what they need, I get it. They're a kid, and this is going to change everything for them. But you can be 50 and have this be the first death in your family, or you can be 12. It is going to affect you just the same. You can't sugarcoat it, no matter their age. You have to get permission from mom and dad, whoever's there. But just because they're a kid doesn't mean you have to treat it any differently.
Right. And I think I would go one step further in it depends, at least in my book, in the age bracket.
Yeah.
Right? If they're 8, like if I would expect if I died right here.
Please do
And
not.
well, my pacemaker will keep me alive. It's fine.
We've called it 10 hours ago, but that pacemaker's still going
right.
on.
It's
It'll
fine.
just keep you twitching.
Recording.
It'll just, woo! Why does he still have a rhythm? He's like cold and brickish. But seriously, like I would expect Jess to take both boys out of the way.
Right.
You know, Jess understands what's going on, and she's going to break the news to the boys in a manner that they are going to understand. You know, and I remember when my great grandma passed away. We were at the hospital, and I was probably no more than 7, 8 years old. And I was out like mom, grandparents, they were all upstairs in the hospital room. I was downstairs playing checkers with my dad holding my stuffed dog. And I didn't know any better. Grandma was sick upstairs, right? I didn't find out until the funeral that like no one was going to see great grandma anymore. And I couldn't tell you how it was broken to me. I just found out, and let the parents do it for young kids in their own special manner.
Right.
Remove those kids.
I agree with you.
If it's a teenager, sure, it's up to the teen. But if it's under 12, that's a parent decision.
Let mom decide. But like, ask mom, do you want me to tell, your child, do you want me to put them in the room? Do you want me to put a movie on? Whatever the case may be.
Do you need me to do it?
Don't just forget about them. But I'm with you. Like, older kids, they make their own decisions. Give them the
opportunity.
Right. And don't take that opportunity away from them.
Right.
So let me be the fucking bringer of darkness.
Oh, because that's not a shocker.
Shocker.
What if it's mom and dad that are gone and you've got the kid?
See,
that's when it benefits to be a parent.
yes.
Me being a female means jack shit because I don't have kids.
Right.
That's when it benefits to be a parent.
That's true.
Honestly.
Because
That's when you pull whoever's the parent.
I bet I could figure a way into that situation. Because I will say, prior to having my boys, I had no idea how to talk to a kid. I had no idea how to deal with a kid. I had no idea how to assess a kid. Nothing. Once Roman was born, it was like a switch was flipped, and oh my God, a pediatric's just a little mini human being. Like, I wasn't scared to talk to him. I could figure out, okay, how old are you, kid? Okay, I'm 8. Well, cool, I have an 8-year-old, or I have someone around that age. Like, he's into this. Are you into that? Like, hey, this is what he watches on Netflix. You want my phone? You want, like, you could watch something on, whatever. Like, I agree. Parent, if you have a parent that's also a provider, be like, yo, resource. Deal with this.
I totally would pass that. Not pass it along, but like, I don't have kids. I never had to deal with anything child related. I babysat, sure. I would totally pass that right off to you.
Because at that point, guaranteed, they are asking, what happened to mommy? Yeah. What happened to daddy? Are they going to be okay?
When are they going to come home?
When are they coming home? And it's going to break your heart.
To tell them they're not.
But you, again, that might not be your place.
Yeah.
Right? It's not always, because again, you are the stranger that they have no attachment to whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you know what? This is where I will say fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Keep them distracted. Keep them happy. Keep them hopeful. We're doing everything. The paramedic is like a doctor. They're working on your mom. Or they're not even working. They're helping your mom. They're fixing, the scrapes and the cuts. Talk to them at their age level so they understand. Right. Kids are so fucking smart. Don't treat them like they're morons.
Exactly.
They know what the fuck is going on. And
they know something's wrong.
Damn Skippy,
Mommy and Daddy are not here and there's strange people in my house. They know something's wrong.
They know something's the matter. And that's when you go, hey, do you have an auntie? Do you have an uncle? Do you have a Mima? Right. Do you have a Mimi? Like, whatever. Get that person in. Grab them at the door and be like, this is what's going on. You take them. Figure out what the fuck you want to do.
You have to notify them and then say, hey, now that you know,
right,
you need to figure out a way to talk to
exactly.
This kid.
Let the family do it. Yeah. It's not up to you at that point.
I agree.
Yeah,
it is a great point you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't even think of bringing that up.
It was something that had to be dealt with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you do when it's mommy and daddy and there's nobody left? No aunt, no uncle.
There's
You're
somebody.
it.
There's somebody in that kid's life that is it a teacher?
Right.
Is it
Is it a
somebody
friend?
right? There's
Yeah.
somebody in that kid's life
Yeah.
You
that
just
they
have,
trust more than me.
Right. You just have to track it down.
Exactly.
And that's where, hey,
Cop.
somebody track down who this kid, even if it's me and a cop. Hey, this is so-and-so police officer. Kids know police officers, right?
Right.
And they know firemen, right? They
know
don't know
them more than
EMS.
I was like,
They
they
know
know that more than
ambulances.
Right, but they
Let the
know
firemen do it.
ambulances, These are resources that you can utilize and try and get, hey, do you have a next door neighbor that, watches you? Do you have a best friend? Like, who's your best friend?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Timmy from down the road. Okay, do you know Timmy's last name? Yeah, sure. Okay, hey, get on the horn to Timmy. Go send the cop down to Timmy's house. Bring Timmy's parent over here, right? Something.
Or bring the kid to Timmy's house.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've come to find out that I kind of like you, even though I'm not a parent, I enjoy pediatric calls.
Yeah.
I had no idea I was good with kids until somebody pointed it out and like, you're really good with kids. I'm like, no shit, really?
Because you're a child.
I had no fucking idea. That is true.
It's true.
I have no trouble
It's one of you.
mentating at their level, so
a
like,
little
oh
baby
shit,
alien.
fucking Transformers, fuck yeah, let's play. You know?
Yep.
Can't say the F word.
I mean, fuck shit. My bad. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty bad with kids.
I don't know. Uncle Gerard seems to suit you well in my
Yeah,
house.
I like it. Oh, there's nothing better than when they just like out of the blue just call you that and you're just like, oh my god,
Yep.
fuck,
family.
that's so awesome. But
that also, like, you can't do a call like that and just run off.
no,
Oh,
No.
well, they're dead, so my job's done. Goodbye. No.
I mean,
No.
Yeah, I remember just
Again, you become the social one.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of distracting, keeping the kid distracted and whatnot, and just I know for me personally, I didn't know how to say it, and I didn't want to, so I didn't.
Yeah.
I said no. I said, almost the same thing you all were saying is like, everyone, the doctors are going to be working on mommy. That's why they took her away in the ambulance.
Yep.
And we were like waiting on scene for like grandma or somebody to show up to get the kid. And is mommy going to be okay? I don't know. I hope so.
Yep.
I
Right.
really
Don't
do.
lie to them.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was my
because
biggest
they
thing.
know.
No, do not lie.
Yeah, that was
They
my
know.
biggest thing
They know.
was like literally in my head I'm like, don't say anything that's going to fuck this kid up. Don't say anything
Right.
that's
Yeah.
going to fuck this kid up.
Don't make any
Yep.
promises you
Right.
can't keep.
Right.
Right.
And again, they know.
Yeah.
They know, I can't pull the wool over my kids' eyes.
Yeah.
They're 8 and 6. If something's the matter, they know,
Yeah.
And I think it's just realizing that kids are a whole lot more developed than people give them credit for, and they look at the world in a such a different fashion than we do. We look at one thing like clean your room, and they look at cleaning their room as picking up this toy and that toy and cleaning their bed, and like it's a
Right.
whole. That's why it's so daunting. They look at the world so differently than we do,
Yeah.
and I think if you realize that, you really can get through to them.
And I always just remember that, like in my head, I always like for that when I kept believe it or not, it sounds weird, but I was thinking about don't forget the law of primacy. Things first learned are best remembered.
yeah,
So don't make this kid's memory of
this
our
event.
interaction be something that's going to fuck this kid up the rest
Right.
of his
Yeah.
life.
Because are they going to trust EMS ever
Right.
again?
Yeah.
Oh, they lied to mom. They lied about mommy.
Yeah.
And fuck them. I'm never going with them ever again.
Right.
And it's true. It's the same thing. Oh, I've watched family member go away in the ambulance. They died in the hospital. I ain't going
Yeah.
to the hospital. They lost that trust.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you guys want? I think this was a very good discussion, and I hope that people work on taking the opportunities to do these on scenes, working with providers that do it well, you know, and being like, hey, I'm going to shadow you, but the next time, like if we get this,
It's my turn.
it's my turn, you know, and you can jump in there and support me, whatever. Like Kelsey's going to have it because next time I'm going to be like, Psh, I'm just here.
I mean, just think of like what an important role that is. I mean,
Yeah, don't take it for granted.
Yeah, it's not to be taken lightly. It's not something that, okay, here's how I'm going to notify X plus Y equals Z. You know, it's an important position that we just have as part of the deal.
Right.
You know, and to the family.
You sign on the dotted line. This is part of the contract. And
at that moment, you are probably one of the most important people in that family's life right then and there.
Yeah.
So, you know, keep that in mind. And, you know, don't be a dick.
Right.
Plain and simple.
I think the biggest thing, because I feel like everybody listening to this probably wanted some magic solution on how do I do it right? You know, how do I not screw it up? How do I
be a dick.
Be okay with
do
it?
better.
And I think like, the only thing you can do is be honest and own it. I mean, I've cried plenty of times after cardiac arrest. If you have to go cry, if you have to go scream in your ambulance, I don't care what you got to do afterwards.
Honesty.
Own it now.
Yeah.
Own it now.
But you know what?
But
Like
honesty to yourself as well.
And the family appreciates that though. Like the fact that you're crying over somebody that you didn't know or that, you know, they're telling you a story and you're crying, like they appreciate the fact that you are feeling it. So don't be afraid. Like don't hide from it. Don't run away from it. Don't be a dick.
Right.
Do better.
Do better.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
I got them all in there, didn't I? Come on.
You did great. It's fantastic.
She just said she got. I'm not even going there. Nope.
See, that's
you
what I
said
did.
don't be a dick, and she goes, "Well, I got them all in there," and I'm like, "Nah."
Oh, that's bad. I wouldn't even go on that far. You're a
We're
horrible,
having
horrible
a sappy
person.
episode.
Don't be a dick, Turk.
Don't be a
We're
dick,
having a
man.
sappy episode.
Wow,
You just
what a
threw that in there.
douchebag.
Oh, a dick joke. No way. Somebody made a dick joke.
Don't do that on cardiac arrest.
At this table, they made a dick joke.
Right.
Shocker.
Say it isn't so.
I know, right? Well, guys, that's it for today. We will see you on the 15th.
Happier donuts. And no dicks.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you'd like more information on the podcast or to send us a call to review, visit medicmaterials.com/podcast. To learn more information, like us on Facebook at Medic Materials EDU, or watch our weekly instructional videos on the Medic Materials YouTube channel.